I am going to paint some palm trees today, though. This is not something I normally do, but I wanted to have that, breeze in my hair, drink in my hand with a little umbrella. I was just totally feeling this sunset vibe because we had some gorgeous ones here lately. So we're going to paint a palm tree. Stick around. All right, so these are my little palm trees. Let's take a look at how we can create a palm tree, like simplified. So the basic shape, we've got the trunk of it, which is usually a little bit wider down at the bottom. And then it has like this little bulbous kind of thing. Sorry. Oh, and it's got like these little spikes on there as well. I'm so sorry. Okay, and then we have like these little leaves that are kind of like this fan, like a fan shape, but the leaves kind of just, let's just, like take a look at real messy. They're kind of long and they like stick out, can be folded, shorter on the other. They kind of mix in together in some places. Okay, well, let's go ahead and try to paint some of these after I stop laughing. Like a little line if you want, and then using a dagger brush is great because you can use a little point and you can create those, depending on if they're long, wispy kind of look. Now we're gonna go a little bit further away. This one's up a little bit closer, so it's a little bit bigger. So you're gonna see more of those branches, more defined a little bit. I'm turning my brush. I can't do this slowly. I'm turning my brush, but I'm always using the tip. So I'll turn it this way if I'm coming in this direction. I'll turn it this way if I'm coming in this direction. It's the basic shape. And then of course, from far away, it's gonna be just, again, very loose. And you're gonna see a little bit less of that dimension. And then we're gonna go with a little bit darker value because we're gonna be doing the nighttime one. So it's gonna be a little bit smaller, strokes because it's gonna be more clustered together. Okay? Okay, so let's take a look at that a little bit slower because I know I'm going really fast. So you can see I'm kind of just giving a quick little flip up using just the tip of the brush, and you can see I'm just making really quick, short strokes, touching the paper and then lifting off, almost like I would do while I'm making grass. You can see I've got some really fine lines by using the tip. If I push down just a little bit more, I can create a little bit wider stroke. And I'm not going over the same place each time. You can see I stop with a distance in my stroke. Some places are longer, some places are shorter, because you want to get that variation. All of those leaves are not the exact same shape and size. Okay, now let's take a look at the smaller palm tree leaves. You can see I'm getting even tinier little strokes using that same motion. Now I am putting a little bit more pressure because these are going to be a little bit further away. So you're not going to see all of those little individual strands or leaves. It's more of a cluster of them. And again, I still want to have some of those different shapes. I'm just getting a nice little pattern in here. And then you can extend that out if you feel like you want just a couple little more wisps at the very tip to give it a little bit more definition. So I am just pressing lightly and lifting, press and lift, and just going around the outside of that leaf. I'm working really fast. You saw how quickly I did this, so it doesn't give you time to think about every little strand. It's more intuitive this way, and you're doing a little bit less thinking, so it's a little bit more of a happy dance with your brush rather than, those really like, I'm scared, detailed stripes of paint on your paper. So I have that little blob shape, and now I can go back in with a little bit darker value, add some more to those greens, and then just give it a little bit more detail. That clustered together. So this is like now 2 of those branches, and on each branch you've got those little strands or those little blades. And so that little cluster, you're gonna do a cluster of like 4 or 5, 6 of them, and that's gonna create that nice little shape on the top of your tree. So let's just take a look. Now, these come in many different heights. I mean, these are a little bit shorter ones, and then they have some really tall, skinny ones in like Florida and California. They're like really, really tall. But you can see how they have that little bit of texture, almost like a pine cone there in the trunk of the tree near the top, and then you've got all of these little branches that shoot off from that in this fan shape. This is also kind of why it inspired me to do these colors of a beautiful sunset that we had here the other night. All right, let's dive in, get ready to paint. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you want the full version with a full tutorial, head over to my Patreon and join there. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is wet the paper and get that ready to do a nice wet into wet background using multiple colors. Now, feel free to experiment and try colors that you want to go with. I chose magenta rose, and I also chose to add a little bit of the cadmium red. I couldn't remember. I had to pause for a second. Now, one thing to mention when you're doing those wet into wet washes or backgrounds, it's really easy to overdo it and all your colors end up mixing together. So I'm trying to leave a little space in between my colors so that they don't all blend in together. I have decided to, I think I want to add a little bit more of the other value or the other shade of red, which is carmine. It's got just a little bit more vibrancy to it, which I think once this dries is going to really give the painting a little bit more of a pop. So I'm mixing up a little bit of the burnt sienna. I'm going to use that for the trunk of the tree, and then a little bit of the Payne's gray. That way I can just darken some of those areas, and I'm testing it out just on a little sheet of paper just to see if the colors, what they're going to look like. And remember, this is going to be more of a nighttime sunset type of thing, so we want to keep it very dark, almost like a silhouette look. But I am using a little bit more of the green. So I'm going to just start with those little patterns of leaves that we have practiced and dotting away. I'm trying to keep them spread out a little bit, so as I'm doing this composition, I could have sketched this out, but I didn't. So I'm like trying to find those light spots where it's going to show up a little bit more. All right, got those leaf shapes in there, and now I'm going to go back into some of that burnt sienna and just bring down those trunks all the way. I do have to skip that little one here. I got a little extra wide on that one, so we're just kind of shaping those out. And now they are a little bit wider at the bottom. Think about when a tree grows, it's a little bit more narrow than it is in the center. Now these do have that like bulbous area up at the top. So I'm going in with a darker value here with the Payne's gray, and then I think I'm going to add that underneath and create that little thickness near the top. It almost reminds me of like a coconut tree, right? And it's got like that texture of a pine cone up there. So again, you're not going to see all that texture because this is far away. So I'm just going to take the very tip of that brush. Here I'm adding a little bit more of those darker values in the Payne's gray, and then a little bit more Payne's gray along the left side of the tree, so that's maybe where the shadow area is. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of texture up near the top where that little pine cone pattern is. And again, I'm just using the tip of the brush, just leaning it towards the side and just creating a little bit of texture in there. And we are finished. Remove that tape. So let me know in the comments what you think. It is really special to me when you actually leave a comment. I read every single one of them. I want you to know that. And I love to hear from you. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell and you'll be notified of next one. See you later.